Alright, I apologize if this video is going to be a bit of a rant here, but I don't like Fortnite Music Festival. Ever since it was announced, I just haven't liked it. And I think it's because it does a disservice to, the legacy kind of games of Guitar Hero and Rock Band that really started this whole genre of playing a song to a beat certain thing. I really like those games. I think they're very good. I just don't like Fortnite Music Festival for several reasons, and that's what I'm going to list throughout this video, why I don't like it. But to start it off, I want to go kind of a background history really quick on rock and roll as a genre of music. My personal favorite genre of music. Pretty much all that I listen to. I'm not a big fan of modern stuff like rap and pop, but we'll get to that. Now, 70s, 80s, 90s, rock and roll dominated. There was a couple, artists that could definitely bring out different genres. Michael Jackson being the king of pop, being one of them. But for the most part, the top of the charts was always rock and roll. And you had one hit wonders that were rock and roll. You had major albums that were rock and roll. It was all rock and roll. Come the late 90s, mid 90s until now, rock and roll has sort of been declining. Not declining in popularity per se, it's just it's not at the top of the charts anymore, as in rap and pop is, Artists like Sabrina Carpenter, artists like Kendrick, all of these people are at the top of the charts now compared to any rock and roll artist. Again, rock and roll isn't a dead genre like many others, but it is on the decline. Millions of people still listen to it, but it's not the same anymore as it once was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's kind of the brief background history I'm going to give. But to get a newer generation into rock and roll, the game Guitar Hero was released for the PS2. And then they slowly made that into a series. Now you had Guitar Hero 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, different subtitles to those. You had Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Van Halen, Guitar Hero Metallica. You eventually had Rock Band start their own thing with Rock Band 2, 3, 4, Rock Band AC/DC Live, all these different kind of games. And it had really one goal. Sure, making money was a goal, of course, but the later games definitely didn't do that. They didn't sell as many copies as the earlier games. I think their main goal was to bring a new generation, that early 2000s group, to rock and roll. Bring a whole new group, a whole new generation, which is mainly Gen Z, to rock and roll. Try and get the music back up close to the top, or at least have you like something that wasn't just pop and rap, those being the two dominated music genres now. That was their goal. You can look at how many copies the game sold from their early games, like Guitar Hero 1 and 2 here, to, well, technically a side game, it still had over 40 songs, Guitar Hero Van Halen, which only sold around 250,000 units. So obviously, as the games kept going on, they kept going downhill, and if you look at that Guitar Hero 6 example, where's the rock I used earlier, 63% lower than Guitar Hero 5. So they kept making the games, and then Rock Band came out, and then they made multiple Rock Band games, of course, around the same time, and they kept making all these games while obviously not at the height of its peak anymore, and they kept going down and down and down in sales and money making, but they kept making them, and again, I strongly believe that was to just bring Gen Z mainly, or again, a whole new generation, to rock and roll. But now look at Fortnite Music Festival. It released a couple of years ago, and what did it release with? Let's look at the songs. I'm not going to go over every song that they have, of course, since the release, but I will go over December, January, maybe a little bit of February here of 2024. But they released with their own songs, a couple of Fortnite songs like the OG remix. You had a couple Weekend songs. They had Lady Gaga. They had the Seven Nation Army song by the White Stripes, good rock song. You had Kendrick Lamar, you had Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, One Republic, Imagine Dragons again. As we get to late December, we get Pat Benatar, nice. Keep going, going, going. Olivia Rodrigo, Doja Cat. We get into January and then February. With now we have a couple Green Day songs. We're moving down here as well. Some more Epic Games songs. We have Miley Cyrus, more Lady Gaga. All these different music artists. But you'll notice one thing. Barely any rock. I did list Green Day. I did list Seven Nations Army, the White Stripes on there. But again, at this point, we're already into February, nearing March, and they had like two or three rock artists, and then maybe 5 rock songs. And then, of course, their season 1 or season 2 was Metallica, which was nice, nice, giving it back to metal and rock, which was the main genres. Obviously they have their own subgenres, but the main 2 over genres in Guitar Hero and Rock Band, right? But the fact that when the game first released, they focused mainly on the popular songs or popular artists rather than their legacy games, why? Well, it's very clear: money. First off, not a lot of these songs even use guitars or drums or whatever, right? Like in Rock Band and Guitar Hero. So the fact that these are the instruments we're given, plus the keyboard, guitar, I'll just say doesn't really make a lot of sense. But whatever, I digress. We get all these big artists and big names because that's what a lot of people nowadays know. They don't listen to 70s, 80s, 90s, which again is a fair point, and that's the way to get money. But that's where I think it does a disservice to what Guitar Hero and Rock Band was. As this game continues to do more and do better, they have some interesting things. Like now they have 40 free songs changing in and out every day that you can play, or you can just buy a song and play whenever you want, right? That's a good thing. But the fact that they are focusing on, especially new songs, because again, that's what everybody listens to, and I understand that part. But they're focusing on newer artists, newer songs, and nothing older, nothing rock and roll, like newer rock and roll as well, nothing new metal. It just feels wrong, if that makes sense, in a way. It just feels like it's not, again, it doesn't feel like they're doing what Guitar Hero and Rock Band set out to do, which again, even though money wasn't being made, they kept making games, and again, I still stand by the fact that they did it to bring mainly Gen Z to rock and roll. And again, not to overlook it, the whole point of the games is you're playing songs that utilize mainly guitars, and then with Rock Band, it's guitars and drums and microphone and whatever else. When a lot of these songs don't use these instruments anymore. But I really wanted to make this video because recently, within like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they released Through the Fire and the Flames. The obviously being notorious for being the most difficult song in all of Guitar Hero. That whole game series. I mean, it's nuts. If you've played it yourself, I've played it on medium difficulty, not even 100%, because, come on, this game is hard. I mean, recently someone just beat it on 200% speed on the extreme difficulty after like close to a year, 50,000 attempts. It was crazy. Congratulations to them. But like, I mean, this song is notorious for how difficult it is. And obviously, you know, it was going to come to Fortnite Music Festival eventually. But they didn't bring it out first. If they would have brought this super difficult song out when it first came out, I think it would have been fine, better even. I mean, Dragon Force, the band behind it, was in talks for super long. They wanted it to be released with Fortnite Music Festival. Epic Games never did that. Okay, fine, whatever. But then Fortnite Music Festival started going on the decline. It didn't get as many players, didn't get as many people to play it. And obviously they're going to update it, try and lure people back in. How do you do that? By releasing the most difficult song possible to give people now a new challenge that they can attempt on their extreme difficulty. And again, that makes sense to do that. Again, lure people in, whatever. But it just shows, again, in my opinion, that they're not doing it for the song. They're not doing it to get people into Dragon Force. They're not doing it for any reason besides the fact, oh, they were losing money. We need to get people back in. Let's release this song because we know how people know how difficult it is. Let's get them to play it. I will note, however, that they gave it away for free. I don't know if that's still the case, but the song was given away for free when it did come out. Maybe it was a limited time offer. Maybe you do have to buy it now. I'm not sure because I already own it. I can't check. But they did give the song away for free, and I'll give them credit for that. And again, it was a nice gesture, no doubt about that. But similar to the money standpoint, it could just be a way for people to say, oh, this super difficult song is here. What other songs do they have? Let me buy a couple. Again, it is a very sneaky tactic, but another way to get more money. And again, there is nothing wrong with that. A business, or no matter what, is going to do their job to make money first. I get that. It just feels, again, wrong because, again, they're legacy games, because the same people who developed this, Fortnite Music Festival, Harmonix, also made Guitar Hero, also made Rock Band. So it just feels wrong that they're now doing this exclusively for money. Again, newer songs, when the game starts dying, they bring back super popular songs from their series. Only to then, again, back then, they sold super well, and even when they didn't sell super well, I'm just staying on the same point, they just kept releasing the games because they wanted people to, you know, listen to rock and roll again, listen to metal again, get people into it. So I don't know, that's my take on why I think Fortnite Music Festival is wrong. I think it's bad. I think it, again, it's greedy, and that's like most places, so again, I understand that it is technically fine. That's how businesses are going to be. It just feels like it does so wrong to their legacy games, which is why I think like Guitar Hero and Rock Band are way more superior because, again, they're doing it for the fans. They're doing it for new fans. They're doing it for people to get a music genre, a new one that they might end up enjoying really well, instead of just doing it for money back then. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this little video. Like I said, I know it was a rant, but I just wanted to talk about this because seeing Through the Fire and the Flames come out on this, it just, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way, I suppose. But yeah, without further ado, hope you guys did enjoy it nonetheless. Maybe leave a like, maybe leave a nice comment down below, maybe hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, and I'll see you all next time for another random video like this. Bye, guys.